Let's say hunker down.
Hunker down.
Hunker down, y'all.
Hunker down.
Hunker down. Hunker down.
Hunker down.
Hunker down.
Hunker down.
So you guys, if Jeff is editing this right, probably just heard the tunes to the fabulous Freebirds' sublime, iconic song, Bad Street USA. And that means that Allie's not here tonight. But in her place, we have the Vieux Carré, the fabulous French Quarter, because we are doing it from the gallery again tonight. Who knows who might walk through the door? Still hoping for Billy Noongesser. On his way. Well, he's not. He's been ousted from the.
No, he's still around.
Yeah, but he's probably keeping a low profile as far as his orgies go, huh?
Yeah, I don't know that Billy's smart enough to keep a low profile. He might be around. Anybody who wants to come. In fact, if you're out there listening right now, come back in time to when we recorded this and visit the gallery.
Jump in your DeLorean, slingshot around the sun. What were some other ways people went back in time?
Turn the Earth backwards.
Oh,
that
fly
works.
around the Earth several times, so they rotated backwards. That one was, even in the realm of Superman, was a little far-fetched to me.
That might be the dumbest one.
You can be on the Nimitz and sail into a huge whirlpool and go back in time. You can enter a cave.
Yeah. Also, anytime you get to the center of the Earth, for whatever reason, there are dinosaurs. So,
oh, really?
Yeah.
When did that happen?
Just in every movie where they go to the center of the Earth.
I think also you can build a time machine like H.G. Wells did.
Oh, yeah, a machine. That's another way to get there.
Also, he traveled forward in time and battled Jack the Ripper in San Francisco once in a movie from the 80s.
That doesn't make any sense.
Called Time After Time. It didn't, but, you know, I was a latchkey kid, so stuff then that I watched was really amazing, and now I go back and go like, oh, not so great. I think the movie was called Time After Time, not the Cyndi Lauper song. It had Malcolm McDowell in it. I think he played H.G. Wells. So anyways, we're freebirding it tonight. Jeff briefly went over some stuff we're going to talk about. He's booking the show like Dusty Rhodes booked WCW back in the 90s. We have some Freebird matches on because I have WWE network. We have Freebird matches on. And I may make comments about them every now and then. They're just playing in the background to continue the theme here.
Yeah. We are back in the gallery, and what we like to do with the gallery is use it as home base for when we have guests on the show, right? So,
well, that's our vision for it.
We have had guests. We've had Karen Gadbois was one of our guests. Mark Mosley was a guest one time.
Well,
Val McGinley was a guest one time.
These that doesn't really. I'm going to have to disagree with you there. I didn't consider them to be guests. I considered them to be co-hosts.
Okay.
So they were sitting in, and we were all they were participating, and we were all talking about topics together. But I think a guest would be like Johnny Carson, where the person comes on and then he is the subject or she is the subject. That is a guest. I think all those other Val, Mark, Karen, other Rising Tide alumni, other people they were making guest appearances. They were making appearances.
They were just showing up.
They were just us.
Just
another one. Yeah. Eventually, one day we will have somebody where the three of us sit around and interview them. I saw Amesy Adams just walk by out there. He would be a pretty fun interview, I guess. I tried I tried to get 4 women onto this show, and all of them refused me. It's one had to work in the morning. Another one I actually asked too late, and then there was another one. Oh, she had to be in Baton Rouge.
Basically, a string of women turned you down this afternoon, and here we are eating chips and drinking beer with wrestling on TV.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. It's a little depressing, but... And Allie, so that makes 5.
Wow.
Actually turned down by 5 separate ladies tonight. So maybe one will walk in, though.
Be ready to grab her.
There's always that Siggy.
Yeah,
You got whatever, like Mike Damone said in Fast Times at Ridgemont High, whatever happens, your toes are still tapping. So we'll see.
So we're sitting here in the gallery, and it's the first night of hurricane season, June 1st, 2017. And we decided to stay on brand by getting the NOLA Hurricane Saison beers.
And they are blending well with these chips, actually. Yeah. It's another one of those beers that seems to be a beer can with a sticker on it. I've been seeing, like during Mardi Gras, they had beer cans with stickers on it, and it looks like this label.
It sure is.
Instead of it being... There must be... You know what? I bet you there's only a couple companies that can print cans. And because there's so many breweries, because breweries are fucking everywhere now, there's probably a back order at these places that print cans. So to compensate, there's somebody at the brewery who slaps the stickers on them. The graphic design is really nice. Beautiful colors, lots of curves, a little gradient here. It's more than that traditional circle with the little wedges coming off each end.
That's true, but they went with the Miami colors.
They did, yeah. This is the U. I wonder if they realize that. I should definitely have paid attention, knowing this is LSU. Hey, did you see that video of the fight?
Oh, you mean the Tigerland fight?
Of the thugs fighting each other up in Tigerland? Yeah. Oh, that was savage, bruh. I was like, Jesus Christ, y'all.
But,
maybe never want to go there, I'll tell you that much. I've never been there. Now I certainly won't, although the chances were slim. You've been there?
Oh, yeah. It is basically the fat city of Baton Rouge. except for, the frat boys. So
frat city.
Yeah, but it's kind of like a mix of those things. It's like if there was, and I'm dating myself, if there was a Kinney's Key West in, with college students.
That's what it would be. Yeah. They're just there to get drunk, show out, and if you got to fight, you got to fight. Yeah. Well, it was fucking disgusting. And normally I don't really go for those. If they would have been black, this would have been different things. I think I had a discussion online with somebody about it recently. I know I had one with Cousin Pat when those bikers shot each other up over there at the Twin Peaks in Waco. They were like making the point that like, oh, hey, look, when white folks go crazy and kill each other, everybody, gets taken away peacefully and stuff. And I just hate those fucking stories because plenty of black folks every day get taken away peacefully. And yes, some of them get shot. And some white folks get shot. A white dude got shot fucking about 6 blocks away from here right now, like 72 hours ago. And he was unarmed and everything. So I just can't stand it when... like that logical fallacy takes place.
So just to be clear, like you're not poo-pooing the notion that there is police violence that's out of control and racist police violence that's out of control. You're not saying that.
You're right. I'm not saying that.
You're not really knocking any of the actual.
No, I truly believe that black folks get fucked over by the cops and shot by the cops at a higher rate than white folks do.
Right.
But I just can't stand it when something like, the guy in Portland.
Okay.
So the guy in Portland went crazy, or went on the subway, went crazy, said some racist shit, and killed a couple people. And he got taken away and didn't get shot. And there was comments online, as this happens quite often, if he would have been black, he would have been killed. And I'm like, that's not true. It's a kind of a lame... logically false way of presenting the case.
It seems like it's difficult to make that argument though, because you're already like 2 steps behind or below the surface issue, which is, this racist dude was murdering people on a train.
Good enough story right there. If you want to make a racist argument, that's all you got to make. I don't know. It's just I get in a little trouble because people think that I am unsympathetic to certain issues when I'm just unsympathetic to
you're just bringing up
logical fallacies. When I know that the other side is going to detect them. The other side, I mean conservative dickheads. They're going to detect them and they're going to say, this is bullshit because.
Yeah.
But because people on my side are so passionate about their issues and trying to get it through to people, they sometimes overstep certain logical approaches to things. And they're like, oh, well, they would have been shot if they were black folks. I'm like, yeah.
I think the problem
You
is
don't know that.
the reason you get into these arguments is it's one of the hazards of diving too deep into a pile of Facebook comments.
Yeah, I
and
certainly
then-
do that.
And then kind of getting into a sidebar with people because suddenly there are all these other implications of what, like, why is he even here arguing this right now?
If he's not on our side, then he
Right.
wouldn't be saying this. It's you get into that very, gray, that black or white area, whereas I completely fucking live. My whole life is in a gray area. I contradict myself fucking within an hour of something because because the universe is constantly in motion.
Just
and fluid.
any of us who is honest is also doing that, right?
Yeah, yeah. Or otherwise, you find yourself in a position like politicians do, where they get called a flip flopper. They're like, you said this in 1984, but look what you're saying now. Why are you a flip flopper? It's like, well, obviously, new shit came to light for this motherfucker.
Or, as it turns out, now we've completely transcended that in any way. Trump can tell you one thing, and then 5 minutes later just say,
It does.
I never said that.
And he has people talking for him, and sometimes they don't get brought up to speed.
Right.
Or sometimes they're just doing their job well, in some cases, I might add, and then he just comes and shits all over it.
And then they go back and say, no, he never did that. Here's a good example of that is the stupid Kofefe thing that happened the other night. At the end of it, after the long night of it sitting up there and then being
And
deleted,
him being asleep in bed, I guess, wow.
or whatever happened,
While the shitstorm is happening.
doesn't matter. The next thing that they tweet about it is, haha, we know what it means.
Yeah, that was so weird. It made me feel so icky.
They just can't say, yeah, it's a typo. They have to.
Right, because I think they're probably not communicating with us. They never communicate to us. They're always talking to their voters.
Right.
And they just know if they can keep them, they got this.
A lot of what they do is, as long as we're pissing off the liberals, whatever it is that we do is okay. It doesn't matter. Like, for example, we'll eat a burnt out steak. We'll beat ourselves about the head. We'll do whatever it is that the liberals think is bad for us.
Pull out of the fucking climate accord, destroy the environment, as long as it pisses them off.
As long as it triggered much libs. Ha ha ha.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's 90% of, at least politically, that's 90% of what they're doing. I mean, materialistically, they're covering their ass for all these oil and gas companies and people who want to continue to benefit from their...
Really. They get triggered so much, though.
They do.
This is the most triggered ass president of all time. I mean, I know they didn't have trigger measuring devices like Twitter back in the day, but I can't think of James Madison being as
It's the you
triggered.
mad bro administration.
it is. And it's sad to me that it's the first Twitter president, because I think Twitter's getting a bad rap here. Or maybe it isn't.
As bad as Twitter can be, it's actually worse. It looks worse because of Trump.
I've always loved Twitter. I've never once been on there and been like, this software sucks. This app sucks. I've always been like, this is great. I'm just scrolling down. The one thing that it does affect me is sometimes everybody's just so deep into their little inside joke that I don't even know what the fuck they're talking about. But even then I can just keep scrolling.
Right. There's a handy guide for this, and it's if you think you're about to get super pissed off about a tweet, just scroll down, and then other ones will be there. Right?
Okay, I think I can do that. Or I have such a desire to know exactly what I'm about to fucking say. By the time I drill down through what they're talking about, that little reptile brain mechanism, that knee-jerk response in me is kind of faded away.
You're I don't really need that.
Well, I ain't got time for this today. Scroll. All right. Y'all just be content being ignorant, all right? I'm gone. But I also follow you know, I'm a curated follower. Like, I don't block. Like, once I follow you. I'm ride or die with you. But I follow, first of all, I only follow people in New Orleans. I follow a Russian site.
Wait, you follow a Russian site?
I follow a Russian gift site.
Okay. We'll have to alert the FBI.
And I follow
later.
my friend Wendy out in San Diego because she tweets about New Orleans a lot. And other than that, I don't follow anybody outside of New Orleans. I don't follow celebrities. I don't follow Trump. I don't follow anybody unless you are in New Orleans.
That's interesting. You know who else has this approach? Tim.
Of Tim and them?
Tim, yeah. Tim said this to me the other night. He said,
Hyper-local.
I only follow local people.
It's what I go when I want to know what's going on in my neighborhood and what people are thinking in my neighborhood.
That's interesting.
And because, well, it's interesting, but it's also part of my descendants into Ignatianism, which is real. I listened to the other episode as I was coming back from Pensacola and was like, oh, yeah, I am totally becoming a little bit like Ignatius was. I can totally understand that. It's happening at a later age for me, which is good. But
yeah,
I can go to Pensacola because I know I-10 and I grew up in Pensacola, so I know the rules there. I don't like them, but I know them.
Here's where I can relate to it. In the last decade or so, I have gotten, like, the city has shrunk for me. Like, I don't
Stick to your neighborhood.
I don't leave my neighborhood that
You didn't
often.
know who Amesy Adams was?
No. I used to get around a lot more, and I think it's just age, but, like,
Do you know who the panhandler is who practices golf swings on Carrollton?
Yes, I do know who that guy
All right,
is.
so there you go. You got that.
I've seen that guy.
Have you been monitoring the overpass work over there on over the 610? You know anything about that?
Is that Wisner?
Yes?
Yes.
Okay. So you've been on the 610 recently?
I haven't been on the 610, no. But I have been...
You cannot name the last time you were on the 610.
No, isn't that something?
Okay.
I used to live in Gentilly. I was on the 610 all the time.
Yeah, but since then, you just stuck to St. Charles and...
That's right.
Do you know... Well, I'm just going to run through some panhandlers and I'll just ask you if you know them or not.
Let's do this.
Do you know the lady on Earhart by the Home Depot who walks out into the street and like kind of does like religious dancing and stuff like that?
No.
And her partner?
No.
Okay, that's right by your future home. Under the bridge.
Under the bridge.
Jeff thinks he's going to live under the bridge one day, and I don't entirely disagree with him. Who's a couple more? You know Pregnant Lady? Always Pregnant Lady?
Yes.
She's on Carrollton. You've seen her.
I have seen her.
Do you know... now I'm starting to date myself because I only know people on Earhart and Carrollton.
I know all the
French
Uptown
Quarter.
ones, by the way.
I don't know any of the Uptown ones.
The saxophone man.
I don't know him.
He owns St. Charles Avenue. He's on the neutral ground between Louisiana Avenue and like a few blocks up towards Superior Grill.
That's
And
deep.
sometimes he wanders in the Garden District a little bit, but that's kind of his little territory.
That's his beat.
Yeah.
He plays the saxophone?
He sort of plays the saxophone.
I was going to ask if he was good.
He blows into the saxophone.
So it's a prop mostly.
Yeah, I mean,
Every now and then he'll do it sort
he
of well.
performs.
What's he look like?
He's a very skinny guy. He's like he's a little bit older. He's got stuff going on.
Yeah, most of them do.
Yeah.
There's one guy who is on on Earhart past the Home Depot, but at the Claiborne and Earhart intersection there on the going Riverside.
Okay.
He wears $120 Air Jordan, and he's got several pairs, and he makes no effort to like walk it. He just sits there very sad looking, or maybe just very bored looking. Flies his sign. Every now and then I see people give him $1.
Do you think that you might be the only person who notices his shoes? Or do you think
I didn't notice his shoes until I had a buddy of mine in the car from Pensacola who said, man, he's got $120 Air Jordans on. And I looked, and then since then I've not been able, every time I walk by him or drive by him, I go, yeah, he does have some, pretty expensive tennis shoes on. So I didn't notice it at first.
Okay.
He blended right in. It took somebody from conservative Pensacola to we'll get to Pensacola later.
Okay. So is that your whole roll call of folks?
No, I have some French Quarter ones, but there's no reason to get into them because you're not going to remember them. And I actually haven't seen her or him for a while.
Well, the big one, the big news lately is
Ignatius
Uncle
Riley?
Louie.
Uncle Louie. Right. You know him.
Everybody knows that guy. Everybody in town knows that guy.
Everybody thinks he should just be let go.
Everybody who has spent any time in the quarter at all knows that guy.
Yeah, he has been around. I know him from both my stints in New Orleans.
If you have been in the quarter to any degree,
I need to look up that story to be like, are there is the victim's family? Let's get this guy. What happened? What's this? Do you know?
There was a follow-up story where they went and got the obligatory quotes from the family that said, we're glad that we have closure now. And I remember seeing...
Do they?
I don't know.
Well, we're not going to see him on the street.
They went and found
much
someone
longer.
who would say that for them, so they did.
I know that I want to say that he did have a mentor program going with somebody. And that's some of the more famous street performers do that. They have like a little mentoring program. There was a guy on a ladder a few years back.
I remember him.
And he mentored a guy, but then I think that guy kind of fucked it up, and then that seed was erased from the earth, at least here in New Orleans. But if you get a good little racket or shtick going, look, it lasted him his whole he got out of crime. If he was indeed guilty of this.
Yes.
Who fucking knows?
Yeah.
But he clearly had been rehabilitated.
There is a whole school of thought that says that our entire approach to criminal justice is kind of fucked up, right? Like, we spend way too much time
punishing
people and trying to put people in jail who we don't have to. There are extremes. There are people who say we may not even need jails at all anymore. And in fact, if you go back,
Philadelphia DA who just got elected.
Right. So this
we talked about him in our last episode.
We did mention him last time.
Or he win a nominee?
He's the Democratic nominee for the
victory.
DA in Philadelphia. There's a strong anti-prison movement.
I'm down with that.
And
not anti-total prisons, but let's be a little bit more liberal with our...
even in this session of the legislature, there was a whole package of parole reforms and sentencing
Here
reforms.
in conservative Louisiana?
Here in conservative Louisiana.
Well, why would the fucking conservatives care about that shit?
Well...
They're big into punishment, and they're big into fucking making money off of prisons.
There's a strong argument for fiscal conservatism that has kind of won sway with enough of the pressure groups to say, well, yeah, Louisiana spends way too much money keeping people locked up for no reason. Even
so the libertarian kind of
there's a little bit of that, yeah, and it's been pushed by some of these like respectable conservative groups, if you want to call them that. Like
I don't want to call them that.
Louisiana Association of Business and Industry was behind a lot of the reforms this year. Even Americans for Prosperity, which is the Koch's national group, they've actually passed a lot of them, which has been interesting to watch happen.
Okay.
There's one was making its way through this week that this guy decided he wanted to try and fuck with a little bit. What did these do?
Jamoke?
Yes, there's a Jamoke.
Which Jamoke was this?
This is a guy named Sherman Mack, who is a...
Jamoke should be like a term like reverend or captain or like a term. Like there was Jamoke Carmody.
Yeah.
And now this is Jamoke...
Sherman Mack.
Jamoke Sherman.
Sherman Mack.
Okay.
He's from Livingston Parish, I think. And which is
one of the most fucking the whitest, most conservative parishes.
It's
in
the
Louisiana.
most clan-intensive parish in Louisiana.
Yet also has a NASA grav wave.
Oh yeah,
they measure grav waves there.
Wacky, right?
Yeah. Like what? What do they do at lunch, or when the people from NASA, the grav wave generator or grav wave detector, when they want to go to happy hour, what do they fucking do? Holla back at us, NASA, on that one.
I would like to know.
It's a question.
They
drive to Hammond, I guess, and then still they're not great there. Okay, so go ahead. I'm sorry.
So there's a package of laws that were to shorten the prison sentences for people who were convicted of nonviolent offenses.
Those are big. Everybody doesn't want to punish nonviolent people.
Charges, property theft, car theft, stuff like that, and even some violent crimes that for the first time that not murder, not rape, but like assault.
Maybe
things
in
like that.
at Tigerland, you kicked a motherfucker in the face. Who
Shit
was
like
already
that.
in,
Indeed. Right. So it's a mild lessening of the mandatory minimum sentences on these kinds of people. Now, the part that Mack objected to was the fact that it would apply retroactively, meaning people who have already been sentenced, they are now eligible for parole earlier than they would have been elsewhere.
I like that. Although those guys are going to come out and they're going to be all, hi, let us know if we can help you. We're just doing a podcast. Right on. So just go ahead and look. And if you want to chime in, anything we're talking about, jump right in. We're talking about
random shit, really.
Prison and how to reform it. Where are you at with that?
That's a strong.
Wait, who are we talking to?
Alexandra Krauss.
Alexandra Cross. Your last name is Cross.
Kraus.
Kraus.
I think she said Kraus.
Oh, I was about to say because Cross scares me. What do you think about that?
Well, knowing that Louisiana is the highest incarceration rate in the entire world scares the living shit out of me.
Are you from here?
No, I'm originally from California.
Oh, okay. So you're scared to be like walking around the streets of Louisiana.
Well, I live here now.
Oh, she's a transplant.
I am a transplant.
When did you move here?
Last year, yeah.
A post Katrina transplant.
Wow.
That's
Yeah,
right.
it was a late one.
And you're just rolling around here scared.
Well, I wouldn't say scared so much as concerned for everybody.
Well, they're all incarcerated, so you got that.
Yeah, they're all incarcerated for petty crimes. Whoa.
That's what we're talking about.
That's exactly what we're talking about right now.
So Jeff here knows what the fuck he's talking about, and I just kind of play he's like, I'm color commentator and he's play by play, so he's going to tell us about it.
Oh, so you want me to? Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. Well, Jeff's going to tell you why you shouldn't be afraid or why there's hope, I guess.
So what we're talking about just now is that the current session of the Louisiana legislature has been considering a package of bills that will address this exact issue you were talking about, the fact that Louisiana is the highest incarceration rate in the country and therefore the world because, So they're very close to passing a set of sentencing reforms and other things. They tried to even abolish...
Even the conservatives are doing this, which is why
why
I'm being a little weird about it. But he said it's because fiscal conservatives don't want to spend money on a bunch of prisoners.
It makes sense. I mean, I used to work for grassroots campaigns myself, and we did fundraising for ACLU, and they talked a lot about that, particularly here in Louisiana. And apparently, if we even just go down to second place, we would be saving like $40 million by doing that.
Oh, well, see? What would be first place?
Oklahoma, I believe.
Conservative leadership in action in Oklahoma.
So what they found is that because there's a lot of money to be saved, and Louisiana is in a perpetual fiscal crisis, this is one way to go about doing it. So there's a package of sentencing reforms that are about to pass, and we were just talking about this fellow Sherman Mack, who is a state rep from Livingston Parish.
He's also a Jamoke.
Who tried at the last minute to throw a little stick in the spokes of it.
And cost us all a bunch of money. Nobody really cares about these people. We just care that they're costing us a bunch of money because we got to feed them and all that stuff. So it's not a compassionate.
All this legislation is a product of long months of negotiations between the governor and several lawmakers, and of course the sheriffs and the district attorneys who have been kind of jerks about it, and
because they totally want to keep people in jail because they make tons of money off of it.
That's exactly right.
Brother-in-law runs the toilet paper factory or the toilet paper manufacturer, and their sister washes the sheets and all that shit for the county jail. And as long as there's people there, then they can keep doing that.
Right. So there's all the sheriffs have all their money is in housing people in jail.
And they're
forever.
like, fuck that.
And all the district attorneys, all of their careers are in putting people away and being the tough guy on the block and talking about how you put people away forever. They almost derailed this entire package, but there was a long, tough series of negotiations that set all of these bills on a good path. And this guy shows up at the last minute who wasn't even in on any of this stuff, just showed up and said, well, I think the victims have been told that people would be spending time in prison.
And he
And
talked
so-
like Droopy Dog.
I assume
Like
that's
that.
how he
Okay.
talks. And so he almost blew up this really important set of bills this week. The last I saw, at least most of these got out of committee and are like on the Senate floor now. I think he's not going to affect it, but I just wanted to mention
This
his name.
Jamoke Sherman.
Yeah. Oh, the reason.
All right.
The other thing is that when I brought it up the other day, someone pointed out to me that he had run for DA in Livingston Parish before, and is probably going to run for DA again. And that's
So he's
probably
got
why-
some
yeah.
skin in the game, as they say.
Yeah.
Okay. This Jamoke
Jamoke.
Sherman. What's his first name?
Sherman
You know what a
Mack.
Jamoke is?
I actually don't.
Yeah, neither did we until last episode. It's according to our other podcaster who's not here, Allie. It is a dude who sucks.
Oh, that's an accurate description. I like
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
Mr. Sherman, you're a dude who sucks.
He is Jamoke as fuck. Then.
Anyway,
That is Jamoke
cool.
as fuck.
This
He's
was-
a JAF.
yeah. This was actually the only cool thing the legislature's done this year. They've done nothing else right.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a positive story. It's a happy story.
Tell us a little bit more about what they're doing, Jeff, because Jeff is our legislature wonk. Every episode he wants to talk about it, and we want to talk about like concerts and stuff. So
I can appreciate that. Yeah.
yeah, but we do it, and now I'm paying more attention to it.
I mean, you gotta have a politics episode and then a music episode, right?
There's
try to do it
generally-
all at one time.
Yeah, we try and do it all at once. We're gonna get to the music later, I guess.
Yeah, I think so.
But what else is happening in the legislature?
Okay.
And if you need to break away, you just let us know.
I'm really interested in this actually.
Okay, look, we've got you need a chair or something? You want to sit in for the rest of the episode? Look, we got ourselves a lady.
Yeah, she even.
I told you we'd get one. Go ahead, Jeff. Here, you
All right.
hold this. I'll get you a chair.
Cool.
So
Yeah.
it's nice to meet you.
Nice
Thank
to
you
meet you
for seeing me.
too.
Here, let me
Yeah.
think of something fun that's going on. What else did we write down about the legislature? Well, here's the fun thing they did this week. So you've been in New Orleans since when? Since 2000?
Last June.
Last June. So you've already seen at least one carnival season.
Yes.
Okay. So are you familiar with the Krewe of Nyx?
Yes.
So-
The all ladies crew, right?
One of the all ladies
Yeah.
crews. Yes.
The other one is Muse, right? Muses.
That is one of the other ones, yes. So Nyx, they're relatively new, and we've been kind of, I don't know, do we pick on them a lot? Is that what we do?
Yes.
Okay. For a couple of reasons. One is it turns out that if you spend like 5 minutes in New Orleans, you've probably got like 10 friends who ride in it. But
I am with a very female populated
Yeah.
kind of group. Yeah.
so you probably have like a couple of friends who ride in it. We have a lot of
What
friends who
group
ride
are
in it.
you in that is female populated?
As in, my friends group is mainly female oriented at
What
the moment.
group is it? Underground.
Very, very underground.
They're-
We're so underground that even Stevie Nicks doesn't know about us,
Oh, Jesus.
which is something to say because she's like up there as far as female feminist peeps goes.
Yeah, she's the god. She's secretly controlling the entire movement, I bet.
I think she was a witch on that show one time. So
Oh, American Horror
She
Story.
was not a witch. A witch really liked her.
oh, okay.
And her
In fact-
shawl was passed around.
Yes, yes. And that witch kind of went out like a punk at the end, I thought. I was pulling for that witch to be the supreme. And when she
You
went
had
out,
her
I
in
was
the
like...
witch pool.
Yeah, I did. I was pulling for her. And then when she went out, I was like, this is fucking bullshit. This show sucks. And I never watched another fucking episode.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it kind of went downhill.
Everybody,
After that,
yeah,
anyways.
everybody. That's the general consensus.
Yeah.
Well, this isn't about...
Hey.
This isn't about American Horror Story.
No, it
what
isn't.
happened with Nyx?
So
Jeff?
Nyx, as we know, they have been embroiled in several different controversies over the years because they are they've proclaimed themselves to be a quote unquote super crew a little bit early. They have a huge ridership, and they put on kind of a, I don't know, what would you call it? Like an incomplete parade in some ways. So, you know, it's like
I don't know. So I don't know how much NOLA-splaining I should do about this.
it's hard.
There's 3 super crews, and they are Bacchus, which rolls on Sunday, Orpheus, which rolls on Monday, and Endymion, which rolls on Saturday. And those are basically the super crews, and they're called that. There's not any fucking real measurement of why they're fucking called that. They just seem that way because they have like Gene Simmons and giant floats that spew fucking smoke and play music and have lights that go every fucking where. Right. And everyone's just like, yes, this is one. Well, Nyx, this all-lady crew that rolls on Wednesdays, self-proclaimed themselves as a super crew, and then everybody got all upset about that.
You know, Nyx itself exists because there were a lot of people on the waiting list to get into Muses who decided, well, fuck this, we have to go do something else.
A super crew's worth.
And yes, a super crew's worth of people.
How did it all end up in the fucking legislature?
But
the state legislature.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was going to go off on this whole, like, they've been kind of a joke for a while.
It's going to be. Then we're just going to become. It's going to become a Mardi Gras episode.
Right, we don't want to do that. So anyway,
it's fucking June. We don't want to do that.
They have an inferiority complex of some to some extent. Like they always are like trying to prove how great they are and stuff. And so the latest version of this is this week in the legislature they had J.P. Morrell, who is a local state representative. They had him introduce a bill to get Nyx its own personalized state license plate.
Do the other crews have this?
No.
Only Nyx.
But other organizations do have their own little fancy...
The Hunger Downcast needs one. That's the name of this podcast. I need to add. We should add.
I will definitely add you guys onto my iTunes.
I would fucking think so. If you're going to be on the damn thing.
Right?
If you don't listen, that's going to suck. We got no draw.
I'll get all my friends to listen as well.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good.
So anyway,
the license plate.
Yeah. So Nyx got their license plate. So it's a thing where if you want a special license, you say, hey, I'm a crew of Nyx. I would like one of those fancy Nyx license plates. You pay $25 or whatever the fee is. And what was interesting to me about it is, first of all, like a lot of the organizations who do this are like people like there's like animal rights groups and stuff who like are raising money for a cause.
Fuck that.
Nyx is just
kidding.
Like all of the proceeds from the Nyx license plates go back to the crew of Nyx. So it's another way for them.
Sense.
It's another way for them to like raise money.
They've got a shady, perhaps, leader. So the leader of Nyx. There's going to be a book written about her or something one day, or at least an article in the New York Times, because she is supreme. She is the supreme of Nyx, and she runs a American Horror Story coven type. She rules it like that.
Okay.
So like
is it bloody then?
Like Meryl Streep. It has been.
Ooh.
All kinds of shit has happened. She wanted this because of her cultural added value to the community that the crew of Nyx gives?
Maybe. I don't know. I know that they're raising more money for their group, which is a shady proposition given everything we know about them.
All right, and the state is aiding and abetting them.
JP is.
Okay. And we're following the money?
A little bit. Let me read you this little bit here, though, because...
this is a thing on the bingo board. Jeff reads something from an article.
We have to keep our sources real.
Yeah.
So... during the talk about this on the floor of the legislature, a lot of the non-New Orleanian lawmakers had no idea what it even is. They're like, "What is this? What is Nyx?" And so JP has to explain what it is, and he says,
"A null-explain to them."
He says, "Well, first of all, here, let me read the question." So Morrell then received a couple of jabs from fellow senators, and the first jab is. Is this the New York Stock Exchange you're wanting to create a license plate for? Quipped Senator Barrow Peacock. Come back to
Barrow Peacock.
Come back to that in a minute. And JP says to Barrow Peacock, he says, well, I'm sure the ladies of Nyx would love to have that kind of money, but they're homegrown. I would say they're a little crew, but they're not really a little crew. And then he trails off from there. But
so there it is on the floor of the Louisiana legislature. They are not a super crew. So it goes on and on whether they're a super crew or not.
It's so official.
It's like something.
They're a little crew.
It's like something to argue about, like whether Quartermaster or Vertimart. It's like Quartermaster or Vertimart. Like it's just something you like.
which one has better sandwiches and which one has better pasta.
Yeah, who's better? Who's better? It's something that you can discuss when you've got nothing else really going on, and you got to fill up those slow spaces in conversations. Are they a super group? I say no. I say there's only 3.
I mean,
It's JP Morrell said there was.
So therefore,
the other fun thing that comes out of the story is obviously the name Barrow Peacock, which gave birth to another game we were playing the other day, which is, your southern state legislator's name is Yard Implement Bird.
This is Barrow.
Right.
Barrow Peacock. Right. Yeah. And there are peacocks. Peacock is a thing. There's one in my neighborhood. There's one in the neighborhood adjacent to mine.
Wait, somebody named Peacock or
no? There's
animal?
a real peacock.
Oh wow!
Yeah, our friend of the show, Lisa Palumbo,
is it free
feeds
range?
hers. Yep, just walks around. They made the whole neighborhood a bird sanctuary to protect it because people were mad at it because it pecked itself. It pecked images of itself in cars, and it damaged the paint job.
I mean, hey, it's packing an image of a peacock
Hi, how y'all
into the
doing?
car. That's art right there.
Try
could sell
telling
it.
someone who had just done a wash and wax for about $149 that
I mean, hey, sell the car for well over that. And
I like your optimistic style, but it didn't go over so well down in the mean streets of Holly Grove.
oh yeah, because Holly Grove is the meanest.
Oh yeah, it is. That's where Little Wayne's from.
So there are 2 peacocks. I think
There's
you
Holly
mentioned.
Grove Pigeon and Pigeon Town, and now Barron Peacock.
And now,
Hey, Maserati Margie. Maserati Margie's in the house here,
hey,
y'all.
what's happening?
Let us know if we can help you. We're doing our podcast.
Okay. Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Okay, well, look, don't let me interrupt you.
Maserati Margie has a show on what station? WRBH, and it's about. Okay, I thought you had one about prohibition too.
Oh, I did a book. I just did the whole book.
You finished that one up?
Yeah, but they're like on a weekly basis, 3 times a week. I do science fiction stories.
Oh, okay. So wait, can we promote it for you real quick?
Yes, absolutely, you can.
88.3
WRBH.
WRBH on at what time?
And Wednesdays at midnight.
Wednesdays at midnight for all you night owls,
Saturday at 10 p.m.
and Saturday at 10 p.m.
And Thursday at 1 a.m. Actually, Friday at 1 a.m.
Thursday at 1 a.m. You do it live?
I don't do it live.
Oh, okay. So that's when it airs.
But
It's,
they're good stories. I mean, I pick them out, cutting edge stories.
She curates them, y'all.
Modern sci-fi or like classic?
Modern.
All right.
Oh, there you go.
Really good ones. Really good ones. I mean, truly. I'm not just bragging. I'm saying I'm honored to read them. They're really good.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. So y'all listen. You going to be in town for a while?
Well, tonight I'll be in town tomorrow.
Okay. I still got those pieces. All right.
Okay, yeah, I'll get in touch with you tomorrow.
I will be here tomorrow.
Good. You will be here.
Yeah, just cruise by. Let's talk.
Great. Okay, great.
All right.
Good to see you.
Much love. That was Maserati Margie. She owns the Iron Throne.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, she bought the Iron Throne that we had in
Game of
here.
Thrones?
Yeah, I made one out of lath board, and it was in here for a while. Everybody sat on it. It was a lot of fun. And then she just rolled up in here and bought it one day.
Wow.
And now it's across the street, but we couldn't get it into her apartment, so we had to break pieces off of it to get it in the door. And now those pieces are in the closet. And every, 3 months or so, she rolls in and says, "Hey, man, when are you going to put that thing back together for me?" And I'm like, "Whenever you want." And then she just vanishes again. So
There she
Never
goes.
to be seen.
like
but
a
then-
specter in the night, she goes. So what were we talking about before that?
Legislators with bird names.
Okay. And birds and peacocks in
Yard
in New
implement
Orleans.
bird name. So like Barrow Peacock, Ho Cormorant, whatever you would like to go
Rake
with.
mockingbird.
Right.
Weed eater blue jay. You're talking about more hand tools, I imagine, right?
Probably.
Yeah, shovel crow.
Oh, that's actually that sounds
Man, that
like
sounds like a fucking
that sounds real.
Southern Gothic, like the villain in a Southern Gothic novel. Shovel crow.
I don't know. I feel
So
like
definitely chairman of House Ways and Means then.
Yeah, that's with a dark secret though.
Well,
with a brother like chained up in
Neil
the basement.
Abramson, right,
Yeah,
that kind of
thing. Pitchfork, Grackle.
Hammer Nightingale.
I'm coming with all the. Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Hammer Nightingale.
Edger Pigeon.
He sounds liberal. Edger Pigeon. He's up and coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, he represents the little people. I can tell. What else is happening in the legislature, Jeff?
Geez, well, that was the fun one, the Nyx story. If Allie were here, I would have said that we're in the final countdown to the end of the regular session, so she could do that again.
Allie usually sings, so if you feel the need to burst out in the song,
I mean, honestly, I always feel like I need to burst out in the song, but I might disturb the copyright.
no, that's fine.
Oh, wait.
I don't think Google has that algorithm channeled.
We've violated so many.
Right.
It doesn't really matter.
This gallery stands as a symbol of violated copyrights everywhere. So
I totally thought you were going to say Lady Cock.
no, isn't that? I think that's the last name of a Louisiana legislature.
Yeah.
It's
It's a contradiction in terms, also.
push mower ladycock.
Sounds like he came from a fallen Southern family. Like the Lady Cocks were after the collapse of cotton. They weren't the same, and now they're like a Grey Gardens type situation.
All their money was taken away from them.
Yeah, by the damn black folks and the poor. They just took them all. The night, the night they drove Old Dixie down.
No, I don't.
They drove Old Dixie down, and all the people were swinging, saying that song. There's something about it in that, for whatever reason, nobody really talks about how it sort of, does it celebrate the Confederacy? I don't know. Joan Baez fucking sang it. It's one of her standards.
I've got a feeling that Tim and him will tell us
All right,
something about that.
I looked it up on Wikipedia. It didn't tell me. So.
Well.
What else is going on? Or should we take a break?
I am curious about something, though. If you
What's
don't
that?
mind. So it's a little awkward for me to say this, but I was living outside of the country for a while where healthcare was a lot more available to me than it seems to be in the States. And as far as healthcare goes in Louisiana particularly, it's 49th in the entire nation and keeps on rising. It's like the only reason why they're not 50th is because of Mississippi.
Yeah, Oklahoma and Mississippi keeping us real. Keeping us in check.
Yeah.
Did they do anything about that?
Well, there are a couple of things this year. Everything is in the context of the continual fiscal crisis, right?
Yeah.
And part of that has to do with the mess that Bobby Jindal left us when he was governor. Because
I have to charge the 3% tax on all this original art in this gallery because of the mess that Bobby Jindal left us.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That sucks.
Total bullshit. I blame him every time I have to. I evoke his name every time I have to charge somebody with that.
So, part of that is Jindal privatized a lot of the public hospitals, right?
Right.
And the administrative costs of that are up and down depending on the relationship they have with each provider. One leap forward that we did make in the last year was, Governor Edwards accepted the Medicaid expansion that comes with the Obamacare law.
Governor Jindal did not.
No, right. So that postponed that for a while. That immediately gave, and I don't have the statistics anymore in my head, but it was, it increased the access to health care and coverage for a lot of, Louisianans because, Louisiana is one of the states that depends on this sort of thing the most. And now, with that up in the air in Congress, that's another question on everybody's mind. Like, how are they going to react to that once, if ACA is repealed or not, so...
Yeah, that's quite a conundrum, honestly, because if the ACA is repealed, and the way that it seems to be going about, particularly, is what they want to do is essentially privatize all healthcare, is what it's looking like, honestly. And
everything too.
Yeah,
just everything.
And that will leave way for so many people to die, which is.
But
such
then
a
you'll
heavy
get a little
subject.
bit of some benefits off that. I think I saw a tweet about that there's money to be made in people dying young and early.
That's why the funeral services are so steep. A coffin costs like what, $20,000?
Yeah, and getting more. You know, we got to get those guys on our side. The funeral people.
Right.
We got to just scrape out everybody who we can. You know, all the lobbies. Get them all out. You know, let's get them together. Scrape them.
So I don't know if that answers your question, but that's basically where we are in Louisiana. There's no money for anything.
I mean,
And there's a political fight over there being money or not being money, and it's just been such a disaster the last couple of years because on top of just there being a budget crisis every year, there's also the fact that the Republicans have taken over the House of Representatives in Louisiana, and they are like, yeah, we want to deal with the budget crisis, but really what we want to do is make sure that no one thinks the governor is making any progress. So year over year, we just play get the governor, and so that means, you know, we're not going to raise revenue. We're just going to continue to let everything fail year over year. And that's, in fact, why they have to go into special session at the end of this session, because they will have failed to fix the budget. And they come back for overtime. And but they like to do this because they don't really want to solve anything. They just want to continue to make problems for the governor. And it's going to be the story every year, I'm afraid, until the next election, and then we'll see where we are.
This governor, I don't want to explain this to you either, but this governor was never even imagined to actually be there because everybody thought that the prostitute visiting adulterer white man was going to win the election, but inexplicably he lost. Just to I don't want to mansplain you, but I'm just bringing you up to speed on what happened here in Louisiana. I'm no explaining.
That's why we accidentally have.
I'm not treating you like a woman. I'm treating you like somebody from outside of New Orleans.
Oh yeah, no, I've been out of the country for 5 years.
Outside of the country.
So,
okay. Well, then that's what happened. And I know that sounds like a complete fucking fantasy.
No.
But that's pretty much, that was about right. That was an accurate description.
Yeah, that's about where we are.
I mean, hey, America's still in love with the idea of the married couple with the white picket fence and 2.5 kids, right?
I mean,
so
if it works for you, great. But if it doesn't mean you're a fucking bad person, obviously.
Exactly. Like, hey, if you're going to go visit a prostitute every now and again, just get your needs fulfilled, power to you. You're
Who you telling? Who you telling?
Right? I don't know.
Now you're mansplaining me. Shit. I mean, I think. How often did you say visit them? What was your time frame?
Should we have Billy and Swamp Molly come in and talk about this?
Because I don't know. I think you said maybe every couple months, and I'm like, I don't know.
That's quite a lot.
Seems conservative to me. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, so you want a couple thousand? I see.
Nah, just the month, the time frame.
Right.
Once a week. I mean, it's like Taco Tuesdays.
I just think it would be whatever fits your budget, right? Because
yeah, they get expensive, but
well, it depends on how high class they are.
It's true. Yeah. Dang. It's just like everything else.
The whole market.
Like if they are called an escort, then you know you're getting your butt for what it's worth.
Yeah, it's funny though. An escort, as far as cars go, is kind of a piece of shit. You're driving an escort. That thing sucks.
Right.
Well, let's take a break, Jeff.
You want to take a break? All right.
We'll put it all back together.
I'll push the button and then we'll move on to the other things.
It's too late to die young. It's too late to die young. Throw your stones at the sun. You're undone. It's too late to die young. It's too late to find love. Way too late to find love. Your grief, it fits like a glove when you curse God above. It's too late to find love. It's too late to die young. It's too late to die young. No silver bullet in the gun to kill the beast that you become. It's too late to die young. Your second wind is blowing a bit less a wind and more on my side. What once wasn't what might have been are passing in the night. It's too late to be brave. Way too late to be brave. Well, you're well past the age where heroes are made. It's too late to be brave. It's too late to die young. It's too late to die young. This is tired, it ain't fun, and don't you know that no one won? It's too late to die young.
All right, so hey, this is us again. Hi. Did I do it right? Did I do it right?
There's no wrong way to do it,
There's
I
no
guess.
wrong way to do it. Like,
You're saying
No.
hello to the audience. So.
Alexandra is still with us.
Hey.
She's staying in for the long run. She's got a unique experience, New Orleans experience that she's going to tell us about in a little bit. Before that happened, go ahead.
Yeah, before we do this, I wanted to just correct an error that happened at the top of the show, where we began talking about how this is the first day of hurricane season and how significant that is, and somehow got sidetracked into all sorts of esoteric.
LSU students.
VAR
fucking each
gets
other up.
esoteric on us.
I got esoteric.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Sounds
just to
right.
revisit that, it's hurricane season. The president decided to mark hurricane season by dropping us out of the Paris Climate Accords, which is a freaking hilarious troll move that I don't think anybody picked up on, but it did happen.
I didn't until you just said it.
And not only did that happen,
They'll figure it out 6 days from now when this,
Right.
10 days from now when this episode gets released.
Yeah. We're going to lose our cocoa and vanilla beans, apparently, by this as well, just so you guys know.
That's code for like racial equality.
No, it's code for losing out on some pretty banging ice cream flavors.
Well, there's always peanut butter.
There's always peanut butter
There's always
until we lose the peanuts.
salted caramel. That's a good one. Cookie dough.
Ooh, yeah. I mean,
They're good.
cookie dough, though, you still use vanilla extract.
Well, I'm sure there'll be a substitute.
Yeah.
Listeria.
There's
We'll
a
substitute
substitute for everything.
listeria for
is
it.
actually vanilla flavored. I didn't know. That's why it's always in the ice cream.
It is.
Yeah.
It's just like oh man, a couple of people got busted for putting that listeria in there. It does taste like it.
But
It's hurricane season.
yeah,
Yeah.
And so Louisiana in particular is a weird place to be during hurricane season, and also we're in a weird position with the pulling out of the Paris Accords because we are on the front lines of this crap, right? So every season, every hurricane season, we get a little bit more it's a little bit more dangerous. As the land sinks. And the coast of Louisiana is sinking into the ocean, thanks in large part to the centuries worth of oil and gas development that's ripped up the entire wetlands.
And to a certain extent, just that the land is unstable anyways because the river shifts, because we've over-engineered it and shit. But
Yeah. It's marshland, essentially, isn't it?
marshland, yeah.
And
New
compound
soil, alluvial silt.
Yeah.
ripped up by oil and gas exploration.
Oh, but those motherfuckers, yeah. Man, fuck them.
And compounded by the rising seas, which
Also
the use
because of
fossil
oil and
fuels
gas
has-
industry,
right,
they
exactly.
fucking us up.
So
These poor old Cajun folk. Louisiana. They trying to wash us away, ain't they, Jeff?
they're always trying to wash
They
us.
trying to wash
They're
us
going
away.
to, and
Everybody knows it's temporary here.
Isn't it just like if we do end up sinking, won't we just become mer people though?
What people?
Mer people.
Are you growing gills?
What are those?
I think I am, honestly.
Probably.
Yeah.
I mean, you spend
Like-
a few years here in the humidity. That happens.
Yeah, exactly. You spend a few years in the humidity, you start to grow gills. That's the way it goes, and then you get webbed feet. Yeah, that's how it works.
I've been in humidity most of my life, and all I've grown is pissed off. I fucking hate it. As soon as that fucking first little breeze, like, oh, fuck. It's like saunas. You ever go in a sauna? Like people, like rich folks pay to go in there. I'm like, I've gone in there a couple times. Like as soon as I walk in, I was like, oh, this fucking sucks, and I walk right out. I'm like I can't see how this is.
Yeah.
Why? What the fuck is wrong with you guys?
I think the thing is people go into saunas after they work out a lot, so they're like all sweaty already, and they're like, oh, okay, I just need to relax in some heat and humidity and stickiness.
I want to go in a mall after I fucking worked out. Like I want to
Right.
go in like a movie theater, like someplace that's cold and the fucking cold air is just blowing
Yeah.
right on me and shit.
You always need a blanket for the movie theater as well because it's so fucking cold.
No, I don't. I can, like, growing up with my dad the way I have, I've been just like, as soon as I'm in a really cold environment, I'm like, my body adjusts way more than if I'm in like some stupid fucking hot shit. So, sorry,
No, it's fine.
Jeff's our pace setter. He's the
Right,
pace car.
I see how it is.
I just wanted to give a quick shout out to Steve Scalise, who got out in front of, well, not got out in front, but got behind the president's withdrawal from the Paris Accords. He represents the 1st Congressional District, which is southeast Louisiana. His district is sinking into the ocean, and he's all 100% behind Donald Trump pulling us out of the Paris Accords.
Oh, yay.
The Attorney General of Louisiana, who wants to be governor someday, Jeff Landry, also got he had to tweet out some shit about how great it was that we're getting out. So
Doesn't affect them.
Not at all.
he's going to be governor maybe next. So also his state is sinking into the ocean, and he's all 100% behind this. Thirdly, I'd like to give a shout out to Scott Angel, who wanted to be governor this last time. Just took a job in the Trump administration on a regulatory body where he says he can do a lot of good helping to stand up for oil and gas against the vicissitudes of the regulatory regime.
The vicissitudes of the regulatory regime.
So anyway, so thanks to those guys for
The
helping us
VRR.
out. The only person who had anything to say that was constructive this time around was Mitch Landrieu, who also, as you know, makes a goddamn statement every time anything happens in the news nationally.
President Mitch.
Right. This time it was actually appropriate. You know, his city is in danger as a result of climate change. He said it sucks that we got out of the Paris Accords. I agree with Mitch. Hey, thanks for saying something this time.
Everyone just make a note that Jeff agreed with Mitch on this episode, the VRR episode.
Is it very rare?
Jeff hates fucking every goddamn thing.
Sounds about
He's a contrarian, which I don't blame him out. Until he disagrees with me on something, I don't fucking blame him at all. And then when he does it to me, I'm like, you're such a fucking contrarian, you dickhead. I mean, I kind of am too, so.
So you're in agreement, more or less.
No, we usually, because then if you're going to be a contrarian, you're going to obviously contradict another contrarian.
Yeah.
So, no, very rarely in agreement.
I see.
Other than that, everything sucks and is absurd.
No, I don't think that's an accurate portrayal, but that we'll have to get
Everything
into that.
sucks and is absurd.
The next time we self-actualize, we'll get into that.
So it's hurricane season, you're saying?
Yeah. So anyway, I don't know if you wanted to play the game. There's a couple games. First of all, it's predicted to be an above normal hurricane season by the National Weather Service, which is a prediction they make at this point in the year where they give you the number of storms to expect and the number of major storms to expect. Right. And then as the season goes along, they adjust the forecast.
It's very brilliant of them.
To meet with reality.
By the end, they make so many adjustments that they're almost always 100% correct.
Oh, they nail it at the end.
At the end, they were
it's like, oh yeah, that's what happened.
That's where we were at.
Every now and then there's a November storm, and it's like, oh, shit.
Right.
I mean, honestly, that
You have
sounds
to
like
have an
Weather
amendment
Channel.
to the amendment.
Right.
There's going to be another storm.
So this year we're looking for 11 to 17 named storms, including 5 to 9 hurricanes, with 2 of them being Category 3 or higher, which would be a major hurricane.
So that could be one that just rolls off the Cape Verde Islands and right around Bermuda decides to head towards fucking Portugal. We never even hear about it, but it's out there fucking up shipping fleets and shit like
Right.
that. And then they're like, counts. Well, no, it counts. Patricia was out there. We got her. So
Well, that's the other thing about this whole.
we want to know about landfall. We want to know what's hitting us this year.
That'd be really useful.
Yeah, it would be. You know how they're making like a Saffir-Simpson scale for storm surges now?
Yes.
We want one for storms that you think are going to make landfall this year.
At your location, which is even more difficult.
Even better. Who gives a fuck about, St. Petersburg or Hollywood, Florida or Roanoke, Virginia or all that?
Yeah.
What's hitting New Orleans?
I'm going to be super honest here, because originally I heard you say California, not Florida.
Did I say that?
No, I think you said Florida, but my brain said California for you.
Well, we'll know when the cast happens, won't we?
Right. Yeah.
No need to argue about it.
But if
It's all
it
being out
was,
there.
if it was Hollywood, California, that's some noteworthy shit because they don't get hurricanes.
That is true. But one did come close to San Diego a few years back.
Oh shit!
Yeah, it's gonna happen. Look, I'm making a prediction. We make predictions on this show every now and then. I'm gonna make a prediction now that one will hit Hollywood, California, at some point in the next 1,000 years.
Oh, good. Yeah, I'm glad.
Accurate.
I'm glad you're gonna have that.
You
one
know, I
pending
always
for a
make the
while.
safe bets.
Yeah, whenever we're consulting the chart.
Even if
Mark has this one pending. Okay, good. I like
even
it.
if Hollywood, California has broken off into the ocean,
Yeah.
as some have predicted it will.
Yeah.
Even if there's a Kurt Russell character running around, if it's Escape from L.A., a hurricane will hit Hollywood, California. And I want a little bit of credit if it happens in the next 4 to 5 years.
Okay.
Okay.
So the other game everybody.
I'm also predicting that I did not say Hollywood, California, even though the people listening to this already know if I did or I didn't.
The other game that everybody likes to play with this is we get the names and decide which name storms are the ones that sound the most dangerous to us this year.
It's always the I name. I always like to think the I name sounds badass.
But I think that the reason that you would say that is because it's at that point in the season.
It's
right?
when the badass ones happen.
Right, like kind of in the middle of the alphabet.
I have a bit of a personal experience because a storm named Ivan, a.k.a. a Russian fucking ruler named Ivan the Terrible, who has a fucking V, 2 vowels and a V in his name, totally destroyed the house I grew up in. So
Ivan the Terrible.
And then Ike also fucked some shit up. What's the I name this year?
The I name this year is Irma, which...
Irma, if you come from south of the border.
Yeah, but
Irma sounds like a badass bitch.
Yeah, it does. Anything that sounds...
She'll fuck some shit up.
Anything that sounds like a local connection is something that makes you kind of nervous. Like, everyone thinks it's Irma Thomas. It sounds
Irma Tomas,
Yante,
south of the border.
There's that going on. The first several of them, I'm not afraid of at all. Like, first of all, Arlene has already happened. But then we have Brett, Cindy, Don.
Cindy's already happened.
Emily.
Well,
And Franklin.
Emily sounds poetic. And what?
Franklin.
That's so terrifying. Like,
That's
honestly.
the Sunday school chorus right there. I mean, that's all.
I'm not afraid of any of them.
I mean, I'm pretty scared of Sunday school chorus, to be honest, or choir.
Okay.
Yeah, because Sunday school choir, they can hit those notes, and it's just ear pitching. Nope, you want to close. You want to close your head. Yeah. No.
Have you been through a hurricane ever? Let me give you this one type of advice. If it's fucking category 3 or over, get the fuck out.
Right.
That's my advice.
Okay. Well, so just to reiterate, I did move here back last June. So it was meant to be peak hurricane season, I guess, when I moved, supposedly. But I just found it really hot and muggy.
That's what it is. If there's not a hurricane, it's disgusting outside.
Yeah, and I hated it.
Wait, this is the authentic time of year to live in New Orleans. If you can make it through June, July, August, living with the disgusting, decrepit, just
People.
status of everything,
I'm sorry.
and the existential dread of being washed away at any moment,
Yeah.
then you can do it.
I'm going to be honest, I was really impressed with myself because I moved here initially from a place that was really cold and wet. England.
Well, the wet.
I was
You
just
have the wet.
Yeah, I
so-
got the wet. It's perfect. I'm used to that. But the hot and muggy and sticky and gross, I was not used to. I'm used to being wrapped up in knit and like gloves and scarves and jackets to the brim, and it just wasn't a thing, and I was very confused.
Hang in
It
there.
is very confusing. I'm still confused by it. I fucking hate it.
We'll have to check
And
back in a couple of years and see.
My thighs hate it too. Any part of my body that rubs together hates it.
I had a buddy who moved down here from Chicago
Becomes red and irritated.
a couple years ago, and her first observation was that I remember the first time the bead of sweat rolled down my ass crack.
Yes. And then where does it go?
And then I had to wonder if I were.
It just becomes part of you after that.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
There's nothing good to be said about the summer in New Orleans.
Nothing quite like it.
It's long and stupid. And I was saying to Jeff earlier that the mood is ruinous out on the street because not only is there a forecast of rain for the next 10 days, which is probably how long it's going to take for this podcast to be out. So by the time
Every day,
it comes out, all that's going to be over. But everyone knows now it's summer. They're just shooting each other out on the freeway and stuff like that. It's just we're heading into that real what Jeff calls authentic, but what I call just horribly ruinous. Just mad blood stirring everywhere, and it sucks. And at any point, we'll have to go on a forced vacation. Or not, if
Maybe
you're
not.
broke.
It depends.
Maybe not if you're broke. Then you have to stay and get a free pool and stuff like that, full of fire ant balls. It happens. Do you know what it is?
No.
As long as there's not a flood, it'll be all right.
So even in this cockroach-infested area right now, it's all right.
Yeah, you're fine. When it starts flooding, the fire ants, they got a fucking system.
All right, okay.
And they all just get together and they hold on to each other. And then they, because of the surface water tension, they know how to manipulate that shit because fucking fire ants are fucking badass. They've got everything figured out in this universe.
Apparently.
And then they just float on the surface water tension. Nobody dies. And then as soon as they hit something that is like seems solid, which could be you, then they just all climb onto it and shit.
Do you want to hear some more hurricane names?
I do.
Sorry.
So after Franklin comes Gert, which I would love to talk to Allie about because it's a Dutch name.
There's also a town in a neighborhood named Gerttown in New Orleans.
So this is Gert Town. So that's one to watch out for.
Yeah.
Gert.
Gert, fuck Gerttown up. Could be a headline. I mean, not
then
without the
comes,
F word, obviously.
Harvey, which is an invisible
Also
guy.
a city in also a place.
Yep.
There's
right.
Gert and Harvey.
This is Gert, Harvey, Irma. So that's back to back right there. Gert.
Hopefully
Harvey,
we can make
Harvey,
it through
Irma.
that little.
I'm worried
that
about
run.
that. Then Jose.
Oh, no.
There hasn't been one of those.
You sure it's not just Josie?
It's Jose.
Okay.
Then there's Katya, which is Russian.
With an IA?
Yeah, but it's also it's just Katrina without the R in the end. So fuck you. I'm not worried about you. Lee.
Not Lee.
Lee.
Jesus Christ, no. No.
That's gonna be the one, right?
Oh, that's going to be the one.
It's gonna be the one.
That's going to be the one. Fuck.
I don't even think we have to go through this any further. That's the answer right there. Hurricane Lee.
All right.
I don't even want to. I don't even know how to touch it now.
Actually, my friend who is from the West Bank, right? She is Korean. Her last name's Lee.
Okay.
And so she can be a scary motherfucker sometimes. So I am not terribly surprised by this.
There was also a Sheriff Harry Lee, but
So
that's not what the dickheads are going to say. The dickheads are going to say it's because we took down the Robert E. Lee monument and therefore a hurricane named Lee. God, please.
Yeah,
this is something to look forward to.
Now I'm kind of hoping that it comes here, though. Just
Of course, yeah.
only because I want to have this conversation again. I can't wait.
You want to just say, there's no God, right? And then he doesn't work like that, even if he does. Or
I can't wait.
you can say, there was a Hurricane Lee in 2004, and it didn't do anything, but you hadn't torn down the. No, you're not going to be able to argue with them about that. It's going to be 9/11 truther type arguments that you're going to fucking have, where you just can't win no matter what.
I can't wait. You know what happened today, right? The Advocate ran this disgusting headline about how it was one of these interrogative headlines. Is New Orleans to blame for the declining attendance of Bayou Country Superfest?
What?
Implying that because we took down the monuments, therefore there was this boycott of New Orleans, which affected the new country music festival that happened in the Superdome, which... Should we be even ashamed of that for any reason, or like what? I don't even.
They're
understand.
completely in the chain of blame. They're completely skipping the boycott New Orleans people at all. Like they had to do it. Like they were just their hand was forced. There was nothing they could do. They couldn't breathe unless they boycotted New Orleans. Right. So they're like going and also fuck Bayou Country Fest. Who cares about White Essence?
Like. Congratulations to us for ruining Bayou Country Fest, right?
Hey, we did something. Fezzik, you did something good, right? It's like four white horses.
But actually, if you even read the actual article, it's like, well, the attendance had been declining for the previous 3 years when it was in Baton Rouge even, and they moved it out of Baton Rouge in hopes that it would boost attendance, and it didn't. And it's because, they have, bad acts, even, so,
Right.
It has, things to do with other things. But they couldn't help but just ask that question because it's,
Of course.
It's how things work.
Well, also, everything revolves around them, obviously.
Yes, obviously.
Especially with country music festivals. I'm not going to, bash on country music or anything, but a lot of country music festivals that I'm acquainted with, at least, they just have to kind of, it makes you feel like they're at the center of the universe. And it's ridiculous. And especially considering, with the whole monuments falling down and everything, the majority...
Oh, they didn't fall down. We tore those motherfuckers down.
But, the majority of people who were protesting that shit were people from Arkansas.
We call them the Dixie Larpers.
Which is just so ridiculous to think about. Because, you would think that people who were not, from our state... I say I am a transplant, but it's still my home.
It's okay. We're not like that. We don't judge.
Thanks, Lance. Appreciate it. But you would think that people who are not from this state wouldn't feel so strongly about it to actually actively come down to New Orleans and protest it, which just seems so ridiculous.
They really wanted to, I'm convinced, come to fucking New Orleans and dress up. Just like anybody else who wants to come to New Orleans. They wanted to come down here, put a broom on their head, and fucking party. And that was their idea of it. And yeah, you're stupid and I hate you and jump off a bridge. But I do admire that you just wanted to play dress up and party.
Yeah.
It's one redeeming value that the Dixie Larpers had. Yeah. And I'm telling you, that's how we're going to get in and convert them, because we can't murder them.
I think that the last time we were recording this was the night before the Lee statue came down. And the next day, we actually got to go see it happen, which was kind of fun. Allie and I were there, and Tim was there, and a lot of other people that we knew kind of were there. And I'm so glad that we got to see that moment happen, right?
He popped right off, didn't he?
It was like a champagne cork, coming off the top of a bottle of champagne. It was just it really made that sound. Even it was when it came off, everybody cheered. It sounded like Tracy Porter had intercepted the monument and was running back for a touchdown with it. It was just a joyful moment, and it was a great thing. We could do a whole.
It sounds phallic and symbolic of a male orgasm to me.
It was very much like that's what it.
Everyone was like, "Oh, the whole city came just now."
It was. That was
like,
exactly right.
Did stuff spew out?
Yes, but you had to be there.
I guess, yeah. You always
those of us who
do.
were there to be showered.
It's never the same.
I've
masturbated to it a few times.
Okay.
So
The idea of the Lee monument?
no, the actual Lee monument came out. Like I time it to have an orgasm. As soon as the Lee thing comes off, I go like, okay, yeah, now. Oh,
well,
Right.
just it's okay. What is the Z name? Hurricane.
There isn't
the
one.
guy you never.
There isn't one. It goes Gert, Harvey, Irma, Jose, Katia, Lee, then Maria, Nate.
That sounds like a badass one. Maria.
Nate doesn't sound like anything.
Nate doesn't.
Ophelia.
Ooh, I like that one.
No, I'm not worried about that one at all.
Ophelia.
Drown in water.
Yeah, she drowns in water. It makes so much sense.
That's the one that's going to go out to sea and drown itself.
There's been her before, and I think she did do that.
Oh, there you go. There's a Rina, Rina, which
that is weird.
Is weird because there's a Katia, which is a couple letters off from Katrina, and there's a Rina, which is a letter off from Rita. And I think they're fucking with people, and I think that's bullshit. And I think
you're reading too much into it. Right. I think that you probably have a dude with some Russian background in the fucking committee, whoever decides that shit.
That makes sense. Or they're just running out of names.
They're always running out of names.
Yeah, there's only so many names in the world, right?
They used to name them after weird shit, like nouns. They would just give them basic noun names and shit like that.
There's a Sean.
SHAWN or
SEAN.
SEAN. Ooh, that one.
Which is fun because it's late in the alphabet, which means it's probably going to be, in
during
August.
Football season.
Yes.
I'm gonna be honest.
Which will be an occasion for Sean Payton to wear his X on his shirt again. That'll be.
Yeah. Wait, what? Why did he wear that before?
I think it was last year or the year before. It was during either a preseason game or the game that kind of was around Katrina weekend. He did the emblematic X mark.
Oh, right.
He put it on. He with chalk. He put it on his jacket or whatever he was wearing.
Right.
Because he was fucking high on Oxy and Molly.
Well, that's why he.
That's what our football coach does.
Oh yeah. Fun.
Alex is into that.
Then there's a Tammy.
Lexi, I'm sorry.
Oh, thanks.
Tammy sounds like she'll fuck some shit up. Yeah. That's like Ron Swanson's wives and shit.
Right. That's right. Tammy 1 and Tammy 2.
I ain't fucking with no Tammy, especially 2.
And then there's a Vince.
Lame.
But not Vinny.
No,
who you don't fuck with.
But they will call
Vince.
it Vinny, probably in newspapers if
Hey,
it's.
Vinny. Hey. Oh. Sup.
And then the last one. The last one on the list is Whitney. So.
And I will always. Look.
Yeah. Hurricane!
Lexi sings in this episode. If you had that on your bingo board, it counts.
Anyway, those are your hurricane names for this season. I don't know what else to do with those.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Does anyone actually go and fucking buy water and shit and batteries and shit like that? I fucking don't.
Well, we do, but only because
Chris makes you.
Yeah, and we use the batteries in the Wii remote. So that's
so you're not buying it for hurricane season. You're buying it for the Wii remote.
No, but also
so you buy AA batteries.
Here's what happens.
Thinking that's going to get you through
here's what usually
Katrina.
Happens. Either at the beginning of the season when they come on and freak everybody out, or when there's a storm coming and everybody gets freaked out, she will go to the store and buy all kinds of non-perishable things, like cans of garbanzo beans and random shit, Pop-Tarts, stuff like that.
Those are awesome.
And she'll put them all in a bag and set them behind the couch in the living room, because that's the emergency spot to go to if we ever need to go to that spot.
So go through the other food first, and then, oh shit, this is how serious things are becoming. So we're having to go behind the couch now.
Then at some point later in the year, I'll go, fuck, what are we going to eat tonight? Well,
Look at the hurricane.
let's get all these cans of things out and make a meal out of them. And it's like
garbanzo beans and s'more Pop-Tarts.
Right. Yeah. Something like that. We'll have
It's like a
meal.
chop challenge.
Right. It's exactly right.
For one night.
And that'll happen at some point. Yeah.
Actually, I've got a question about that. As far as hurricane season goes, like for renters, if a really bad hurricane comes through and you like have to actually relocate or whatever,
Okay.
and your house gets flooded or whatever, and you're a renter, do you get your rent money back, or do you have to pay that rent still?
This depends on your relationship with your landlord. I mean, I've been
Right.
through this before, and I think you owned a home last time it happened. So,
I did.
when Katrina happened, I was renting, and the landlord at the time said, "Well, no." He told me that I didn't have to pay rent for that month because, frankly, that time nobody was able to come back for like a month or so. So that was a little bit different from anything that most people would have experienced. But under normal circumstances, if everybody has to leave, it's usually for a couple of days, and then everybody comes back home.
Okay.
But in that,
So it's more like a vacation type thing, but
Yeah.
not.
but you have to. That's the problem, though. You have to, you have to decide whether or not you can afford to pack up all your shit, get out of town, find a place to stay. Most people don't have anywhere to go.
Yeah.
Do you have can you book a room somewhere? There's like a million people who are trying to get out and find somewhere to stay who probably are going to take up all of the hotel rooms between here and Memphis or whatever, And so,
But you want to stay on good terms with people who who are out of town. And then when you get there, stay on good terms with them then, too, because during Katrina, me and my old man had a big old fight, and I had to re-evacuate from his place. We had such a fight. Sometimes you got to re-evacuate.
that sort of thing does happen to everybody. It's not easy. And, you're going to hear a lot about how, everyone needs to have a plan to get out. It's not that simple. Like, most people can't afford to have a plan every year. So
Pop-Tarts and garbanzo beans.
Yeah.
Lexi, that's the plan. Just get you some.
A lot of people elect to stay. And, it depends on where you live, like what you think about, the relative danger you may be in from actual flooding where you are.
I mean, currently I'm homeless at the moment, so I'm in some serious danger.
Well, yeah. If you're not...
There's a fucking homeless person in here right now.
Okay, I'm not technically...
Jesus Christ. You sure had us fooled.
I'm couch surfing. There's a bit of a difference.
Oh, shit, bruh.
Yeah.
We do an episode in the French Quarter, and all of a sudden we got a fucking homeless person on that.
I only just recently became homeless because my
That's what they all say.
So you're staying with friends right now?
Yeah, I'm staying with friends.
Yeah. And so that is another thing. Like, if everybody in your household leaves, like, where do you go? Or what?
Yeah.
So it's a
Exactly.
lot to think about. But think about how many people are in situations that are kind of like that, right? And like how weird it is to just suddenly uproot an entire city, a system, or universe of people who have these weird circumstances that they're in. It's just not practical. And so it's a weird... This time of year is a strange time for us because, this is a living, breathing, functioning city. And it hasn't always had to deal with just every year there being, everybody has to have a plan to get the fuck out.
Yeah.
We still haven't figured that out. And we aren't going to figure that out this year or next year. It's kind of fucked up.
First of all, I will tell you this. Beware of anyone that tells you anything with any sort of certainty.
Right.
Because those are the guys you got to watch out for. And I have noticed that there's a lot of posturing, like, amongst your friends. Like, oh, I ain't leaving. No, I ain't leaving. It's going to turn. It's going to turn. I've done this myself. Always just do what makes you comfortable and don't listen to too many other people about it because everybody's different. It's this one thing. Like, there's a hurricane coming. It may turn. It may not. It may flood. It may not. It may strengthen. It may weaken. It may just miss us. It may look like it's just about to miss us and then turn and totally destroy us. But everybody has their own series of anxieties and or confidences about it. And that's what you should listen to. Because everyone's going to say so many different things to you.
Yeah. And the decision that's right for you isn't necessarily right for everybody. Mm-hmm. Like, maybe you are in a place where you think you'll be okay for a couple of days. It doesn't matter. It's like, it's hard. It's hard to decide.
Staying fucking sucks. First of all, when the hurricane hits and it's blowing on your house, shit fucking, you can hear it. It's a very visceral experience where you can just hear like this super power outside. Even if it's a category 1, it's just blowing right up against your place, right? And it's going da-da, da-da, and tree branches are falling. And if you're like me, you're getting fucking wasted and shit like that. So you're not in a great fucking state to deal with all that shit, even though you keep drinking, trying to drink your way into like this confidence, but you're really just going like, oh, I don't know. Shit's kind of fucked up. Tornadoes could happen. The roof could blow off. All kinds of fucking shit like that could happen. Whatever. Let's say you make it through that with power. The next day, it's just a huge fucking shit show. Your friends don't have power. There's shit everywhere. You got to go rake it up, clean it up. There's nothing to do. Your normal routine's thrown off. It's hot as fuck. If you don't have power, it totally fucking sucks. There's no AC. You got to find ice. The beer's not fucking cold. You can't fucking heat shit up in the microwave. If you have a gas oven, you're doing okay. But if you don't, everything, it fucking sucks.
Yeah. I mean,
so get out if you can.
Well, that's enlightening.
You want it to move. You want it to miss you. Every time you're like, please just go the other fucking way, please. When I was a kid, I always wanted the motherfuckers to hit, though. Because I was a kid, and I was like, I'm not responsible for any fucking thing. I want to see shit get fucked up.
What you wanted was to not have to go to school the next day. And,
it was just so many. Seeing my parents freak out and stuff, I was just like, wow, they're really freaking the fuck out. Right. I was just never like, yay, let's fuck some shit. I was always like, fuck some shit up, hurricane. This is different.
So you mentioned not wanting to go to school next day. You guys have like hurricane days where kids don't go to school, and then there's like up north people who don't go to school because of snow days.
Right.
California, you don't have that shit
like
at all. You don't.
There's no earthquake days.
No. No, you just hide underneath your desk and hope that stops for a moment.
Hipster days when the hipster quotient goes over like a 9.5.
I mean, I am a quote unquote proud hipster.
Oh, so. She's even proud.
Yeah.
Wow, how you like that?
All right, well, shut her mic off. Nice. That was nice, Lexi.
Nice to know you.
Bye.
Why are you shutting your own mic off?
Because it's her mic.
Oh yeah. Where was I?
Okay, so Lexi, the other thing we were going to talk about was that Lexi worked at Cafe Du Monde for a while.
Let's
and this is unique.
Let's put the hurricanes away.
Putting hurricanes away.
And then
what was it fucking... How long did you work there?
Let's see. I worked there from October to January, so not very long.
Well, that seems like a long time. You didn't just like get the job and then fucking just like walk out like this sucks.
I mean, no. There's a high turnover rate there because... because of reasons we will discuss.
Process in and out, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, people will leave like literally a weekend, and they'll be like, "Yeah, nah, this place is just fucking shit," and it kind of is. There's a lot of sexual harassment going on there.
By the other workers or by the customers or both?
Both. A lot kind of happening with management as well. But I mean,
you heard it here first, y'all.
I mean, I feel like I got I got to see a different perspective of it because I am one of those kinds of persons that will kind of take sexual harassment with a grit of teeth, basically. I'll be like, oh, hey, you're just bantering with me. Okay. But then I got to see from an outsider's perspective of the other coworkers I had, and it'd be like, oh yeah, no, that's actually bullshit. What the fuck are you doing? This is not right. You're grabbing asses. You are being overly familiar with people you're working with, and you're also doing things to the powdered sugar you should not be doing. Okay. That's something.
Do you have a specific story to tell us about that?
So everything else I also want to talk about, but wait, what about that? The powdered sugar?
The powdered sugar. Well, let's just... It's not like I want to get into the... I don't want to get the company into any kind of trouble or anything.
They're going to be fine. I don't think they will be fine.
Okay. Well...
I think they have people in contingency plans for this sort of thing.
Fine. So, what?
The powdered sugar.
Right. So, it's not anything you can particularly, like... It's not graphic. Okay? Let me just put it out there like that.
Okay.
Okay.
But what is it?
So, like, there's just these things where the coworkers would have... Okay, I'm going to be kind of graphic with describing myself.
Be totally graphic with it. It's totally fine.
I have larger than some other women's tits. I am well endowed with my breasts. And what my coworkers would love to do is they would love to just kind of playfully put the powdered sugar on my breasts. And then...
They said this to you, or they have...
No, they've done it.
Oh, they have done
They
this.
have done it.
The thing that has happened.
The thing that has happened that I'm describing currently has been done.
Okay.
And there'd be like such a pile on my
Be a lot
shirt,
of it.
basically, on my breasts.
Because they weren't judicious. Okay.
No, they like to prop them up.
Sure.
Yeah.
Wait, they propped them up?
I mean, no, my breasts.
The breasts pop
breasts propped up.
the sugar up. Okay.
Yeah, and it'd be so piled high that they'd be like, oh, okay, there's some sugar there. Pat down onto the beignets.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was...
Holy shit. All right.
So
there was some breast powdered sugar on beignets that were then served to a family of 4 from Idaho.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
I mean, not to say that it would specifically be coming from other coworkers as well. Like, coworkers would be doing that to themselves. Like, sugar gets on your shirt all over.
Sure.
And yet, sometimes you just can't wait for the powdered sugar to be restocked. And you see it down there, and you're
so
like...
this is a thing that's done by necessity. Like, you're out of
Sometimes
sugar.
by necessity,
Say,
yes.
hey, do you have some sugar for me? Let me get some of that. And then just pop, pop, pop. Oh, these are good now. And that's how it goes out.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
And they the people who get these beignets get them for free? The ones that you do that with? It's just lanyap that they get it from
Probably not.
a woman's breasts?
I mean...
It's not extra?
I mean, the customers still pay $3 for the beignets.
I would pay $4 for that.
Oh, well, good to know.
Just so we, $4. Okay. But besides that, there was also some like lewd comments from management and coworkers. Yeah. So coworkers, it's your responsibility then to tell the management about it. Management, a whole nother thing entirely.
A whole nother thing entirely, because it's not so much that you can like go above the management and be like, hey, this guy's saying lewd comments to me and is making me feel really uncomfortable. It's not like we have an HR department or anything like that. It's a place where if you're going to the higher ups from management, you're talking to the management's parents because it's a family-owned business.
It still is.
Yeah, it still is. So, like, the management is the son of the owner, and the assistant manager is the cousin of the son. And it's just, it's a completely family-oriented business, which I say family-oriented, I mean family-owned. And it's kind of ridiculous in that sense.
It's kind of both. It's a family-oriented and a family-owned business. Nobody wants to think that sort of thing is going on behind the scenes, not the many tourists who come there anyways.
There's specific incidents that you and others felt uncomfortable bringing up with anyone, is what you're saying.
I mean, yeah, that's why I left,
and this,
essentially.
Like, we became uncomfortable enough for you to have, like, no longer felt like you could work there, is what you're saying.
I mean, it's that, among other reasons, and it just... I don't know. I kind of have a hate-love relationship with them. Like,
oh, you still have some love for them?
a little bit of love, because they treated me all right for the most part. Like, I didn't get so much sexual harassment that it made me feel like I was put in danger, basically.
But it made you feel uncomfortable. It was
made me feel very uncomfortable. Yeah.
well, nobody should work in that fucking environment. You know, I mean, you should feel uncomfortable for the regular reasons that you would be uncomfortable in a fucking job like that.
Also, I'm just going to say something right now, though, for people who still work there as well. When you're a customer at Cafe Du Monde, and you are exceptionally drunk because you just came off of bourbon, you're going to want to be playful with the beignets and the powdered sugar, of course, because you're drunk. That is your mindset, obviously. You want to be playful with everything. You want to be playful with the servers, with the food, whatever.
Everybody's extremely charming when they're that fucked up.
Oh, yeah, they're
I don't know
so
if you did this.
charming.
Yeah.
However, do your damnedest to not just throw the powdered sugar around, to not just spill the jars of sugar we've got on the table already, because the servers do have to clean that up.
I mean, it's considered kind of a tradition in New Orleans, especially like around I mean, I'm sure you know this, but like around prom night and stuff, like, the kids will blow it on one another, and that's they love to do that shit.
They do love to do that.
I can only imagine how thrilling it is to see it from the perspective of an employee.
It's so thrilling.
Yeah.
I just want to jump up and down with excitement. Yay, I get to clean up everything right there, and also ask our cleaners to be like, hey, I know that this is like a little bit much, but we need to clean that area because we have to present ourselves in a certain way.
I mean, if you leave it, the roaches will get it.
The roaches will get it.
They'll come.
Or the rats, or the gutter punks.
Oh, God, the rats. The rats. So that's another thing. They had a rat upstairs we have to go upstairs into the attic area, right? To put all of our stuff, to change into our uniform, to use the toilet. Like, we specifically have to go up this little teeny tiny attic-like place to actually...
This is awesome.
Yeah.
In the attic area.
Yeah, the attic area.
Teeny tiny stairs.
I'm just about to say, it's the quarter. There's always a rat.
Yeah, there's always a rat.
Always a rat. But, it would terrify everybody, because apparently it was this big-ass mean rat that would just,
Wait, it was one particular dude. He was just like, hey, did he do anything with the powdered sugar?
Not that I know of, because I never saw him.
His reputation was enough.
His reputation precedes him, yeah. From what I heard, he was one of those sewer rats. You know how there's sewer crocodiles?
Sure, from being flushed down the
alligators
toilet.
who come out of the sewer every
Yeah,
day, right?
yeah.
So, yeah.
Those guys. He was one of those kind of rats who just was big as a car, had teeth that were sharp and long as fuck, and just kind of chewed out your arm when he caught you.
Yeah,
type
they're
rat.
bad. Rats are bad. I don't.
Yeah, rats are pretty bad.
Yeah. You don't have to convince me.
Not Ben. The two of us need look no more. We both found what we've been looking for.
Yikes.
Ben, the two of us need look no more. He's a nice rat.
I mean, I always thought he was a misunderstood rat.
He was totally cool, man. Probably that one up the teeny tiny staircase in the attic area of Cafe Du Monde is probably misunderstood.
Yeah. That's
Also.
Yeah.
So anyway, there was a giant rat that lived in the attic.
Rats, sexual harassment.
You were encouraged to dispense powdered sugar from your tits.
Onto the beignets in desperate times.
Right, and the customers were jerks. Yeah. Other than that, it sounds like a great job. So,
I mean,
how much did they pay?
Oh God, what was it?
$1 million.
Oh yeah, $1 million. I actually own a house. I'm a homeless by choice.
That's very Buddhist of you.
yes.
Thanks. No,
It's like Siddhartha.
it was. what was it? Nearly $3 an hour.
Oh, yikes.
Better than most servers.
I mean, yeah.
Plus tips, obviously.
Plus tips,
Right.
obviously. However, the customers think that you earn like $10 an hour because all you're doing is serving beignets.
Well, it is hard math for them to do because they're they're buying like $3 worth of beignets and coffee, and they're like, well, I'm going to tip off of this. I don't even
yeah,
know
obviously
So-
you're getting paid a normal quote unquote wage.
Well, yeah.
No, that's not the case. Like, oftentimes, I wouldn't get tipped anything. I would go home and I tipped absolutely maybe $5. $5 for 6 hours of work, worth of work, essentially, and
That's garbage, man.
it's garbage.
So
Yeah, fucking sucks.
I've been serving at least well over 40 tables at that point. At least 40 tables. And that's working the overnight shift at that, where it's completely dead most nights.
So that's the shift you worked.
Yeah.
Did you see what's the weirdest shit you saw working that shift?
Weirdest shit. Oh, that's...
Ben doesn't count. Well, you never saw him, so.
Yeah, I don't think I did. But the weirdest shit I've ever seen was probably... Oh, shit. There was this one time where this drunk couple had gone into the bathroom, right?
This sounds awesome already. I know that bathroom. I know what happens in that bathroom. Let's do this.
I can only assume what went on in the bathroom.
well, it's assumptions now.
But they come out with their shirts essentially off. Essentially. They're still... Oh, the girl's wearing her bra.
Okay.
Me and the other...
Sugarless.
Me and the other servers are just looking and we're like, oh, okay, that just happened. We find out later on the toilet's no longer working. Reason for that is because there was some underwear stuffed into the drain.
Hell yeah. I wonder why. What, they decided to flush the underwear?
I guess.
I wonder what that could have been about.
Oh man.
I've given up trying to figure out what people do and why, because it's
What
just
sort of public sex in the bathroom leads to the couple deciding, fuck it, flush it.
I mean,
Flush the underwear. That's
that's just the beginning. Because we've got 2 bathrooms for public use.
One is both sexes, one is one sex.
No, they're both... Technically, there's one for men's, one for women.
Oh, because the sign on one is confusing.
Yeah, it can be confusing. Like, it's just... Like, it can be used by whoever. Both of them can be used by whoever, essentially. Like, we don't really care.
That's what I always thought.
Yeah, exactly. So, one of them is out of service, obviously, because the toilet no longer works.
Okay.
So... people have to start using the other bathroom, but they're so impatient, right? And they start coming towards the area where the powdered sugar and getting the beignets are. And it's just all kinds of awkward because we know they're super drunk and they need to piss. And
they may see you rub the powdered sugar from your breasts onto the beignets.
Well.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh yeah, we're cute. We're getting these beignets. This is
Y'all do wear them little paper hats. They're cute.
Yeah, exactly. And hey, I'm gonna say this right now. I was called Café du Most Cutest because people like their
It's a
puns.
major award.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
was
is.
such a reward. I was so proud of myself. It was adorable.
Nice.
Yeah. But in any case, so people start using this other restroom, but they're so impatient that they're coming around to the powdered sugar because it's just right across the way.
It's close. It's very close.
Very close. And they start talking to us, the servers. And what ends up happening is this one customer just ends up landing face flat into the powdered sugar. And we're stunned. We're absolutely stunned. And we don't really know what to do other than to turn them over and be like, hey, you need to breathe. Not suffocate.
Not in the powdered sugar.
Because you're going to suffocate from that. You are.
aspirate, I think, is the term.
Probably.
Yeah.
So we turn them over, and eventually their friends, I'm assuming at least, come over and they're like, "Oh, fuck. Sorry.
Friend guy helps out a lot. In a lot of these
So much by apologizing.
drunk quarter situations, friend
So the
is your
weirdest
friend.
things you've seen are giant rat in the attic.
Yeah.
Somebody flushing their underwear down the toilet.
Yeah.
Guy passing out in the sugar.
Yeah,
And-
mostly.
Yeah.
and tit powder on
Tit
the
powder,
beignets.
obviously.
But she did that.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, obvious gropage is happening as well.
Yeah, so there's a lot of sexual harassment going on over there. It's not something that people are going to do like as a long-term career. Were there employees that were there for a long time?
Yes, there were employees there that had been there for like nearing on 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
So some people can stick it out over there and
They-
kind of make their way for whatever reason.
They are the people. They're the older people, though. That's the thing. Like,
The lifers. They're the lifers.
There's always that. There's always a couple of those, right?
yeah,
So they, yeah.
and the thing is, like, it feels so weird to say this, but like, all this sexual harassment does happen towards the younger people who are
Sure.
trying to like make their way,
Yeah.
just pay their bills, be able to like go to school or whatever.
Yeah.
And a lot of the sexual harassment either comes from the coworkers who are of similar age or of the management. Never the older coworkers ever.
Right.
Like they're more than respectful. They're generally like they understand what you're going through, which is fantastic, and it makes you feel a lot more homely, which is one of the reasons why I felt really weird to leave. Is
And
because
you decided to leave because you were just done with it, or
it was that, and also I couldn't take the sexual harassment, and also I had been dating a coworker, and then we broke up.
Yep.
A really bad breakup.
Yep.
And it just,
Can't be there anymore.
no, couldn't be there anymore.
That's fine. That's I think we've been there.
Yeah, I feel like most people have, at least. Now I have actually just left.
I always just made my coworker leave. I was just always like, bye.
Well, again,
You
You know,
stay.
I wait him out. I mean, like, I'm gonna outshine you at this place. You need to go find another job.
Right. As soon as I had left them, because I was the one who broke up with them, right? I was like, okay, I've been actually looking for a different job anyways. I'm definitely going to just leave this place. Like, even if I don't have a job lined up, I'm just going to leave. This can't be a thing anymore. Nah.
Springboard to finer things,
Exactly.
which is currently.
Oh,
Where'd you go after that?
I mean, I went back to grassroots campaigns, and then I just recently quit them because of physical injury. Blah, words. I currently do promotions for the Hot 8 Brass Band, though. So, hey.
You're the hype man for the Hot 8.
I am the hype man.
Where are they playing next?
Well, every Sunday they play at the Howlin' Wolf on Peters, South Peters. And,
we've been there.
yeah, I'm sure you guys have. You're locals. Of course you have.
It's what hype men do. They have to go through all the details, Jeff.
Right.
Exactly. At 10 p.m. on Sunday.
How much does that gig pay? Because I can work on that. I'm a good hype man.
I mean, it varies. Like, some nights I'm only bringing home $40.
That's the low end.
Low end's $40-$30, yeah.
Okay, well, goddamn, I need to find me a brass band and become a hype man.
I mean, you're not just the hype man. You're the hype man. You do pictures for them on Instagram. You also sell the merch. You do, like, all this stuff. 9 times out of 10, right, I get loads of our audience coming up to me, and they're like, hey, you know what? You really make the night. You are so entertaining to watch, just, like, dancing around doing your thing. Because you really have to keep up that energy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, even if it's songs you've heard like a million times, literally a million times. Because I was listening to Hot 8 way before I became their hype man. So I've just been listening to these songs on repeat and repeat. Sexual Healing, one of their most famous songs.
They did that
Yeah, they do that every night.
at the end of the night.
No, not at the end of the night. Like
At least once a night.
Yeah. Oh yeah, once a night for sure. And I've heard that like at least I'm gonna go with 500 times.
It's a lot of times.
Yeah. I love them to bits. I love them so much.
Yeah. Everybody likes Hot 8. We like
Yeah. They are one of the more legit ones.
Yeah, exactly. And they are so protective of their own as well. Like, the amount of times that I get some customers trying to come up on me, like our man Soul, he's the guy who kind of orientates the gigs that Hot 8 gets and everything. He's always like, hey, you messing with Lexi here? Don't mess with her. That's not all right. They're
Not like at Café Du Monde.
no, nothing like
Complete opposite atmosphere. Not exactly the completely
right.
opposite.
Okay, not exactly the opposite. But it's something.
There might be some gropage.
Yeah. They just
music industry.
They just don't have any sugar on hand. That's the only right.
No sugar
It's
on
different.
Well, if I could be a hype man, I would be a hype man for the Happy Talk band.
Happy Talk band. Oh, we like. Let's do this. Let's
Which
do this.
I love the Happy Talk band. I've loved the Happy Talk band since forever. Their lead singer and songwriter Luke Allen just says everything as poetically and as beautifully as I require from an artist. And I didn't have anyone to go to the show with, so I asked my buddy Jeff over there out if he would go with me, and he had to pay his way in. And then I bought him all his beers, and we watched it. And of course, his new album is,
It was great because
beautiful. Jeff loved it.
Lance took me on a little date
I did.
last week. It was we went to Siberia to see Happy Talk.
I saw to his needs.
It was Lance bought all the beer, and he bought me a CD.
I kept him
and
company.
He gave me a pin, which is really nice. He totally pinned me. I don't know if you noticed. He's got his button on right now.
Yeah.
Recently at the gallery, they have bought themselves a button maker, and they're making lots of buttons.
Old Asian white-haired man.
What do you see when you look at this button? Describe him to our listeners.
So he looks like an elderly Asian man who has shockingly white hair and is wearing like this really official kind of naval officer but higher rank up suit.
What are those things called, Jeff? The things you wear on your shoulders?
Epaulets?
He's got epaulets on him.
Yeah.
So any Hunger Downcast listener, the first one who can accurately, who can guess who the man that she just described is, will get a free button from the Hunger Downcast.
Just as a hint, it's not Johnny Gill. So
it is not. He didn't wear pellets,
Right.
although maybe.
So anyway,
we went to
So
the
we
Happy.
would
I
see-
took Jeff out on a date, and Jeff loved it. He said his wife Chris would have really loved it. She didn't come.
man, it was great though.
It was great.
It's a great show.
It's a beautiful venue. It's a. I gotta holla at Siberia for a second because I like touring bands, like bands that are just out there with a U-Haul and shit. And Siberia and the Circle Bar are like the last two places in New Orleans that a touring band can just call up and get a gig at. You know,
Yeah.
They just constantly have a source of guys in there.
I mean, I
And
guess you could play One Eye Jacks, but really that's more like on the.
it's
on the
you
higher
got to be a little,
circuit.
you got to be a little bit of somebody. Whereas Siberian, you know, they have those punk rock flyers and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful fucking thing, and it's still alive and it's still going. And
hi-ho sorta.
Luke, yeah, the hi ho sorta.
Or what is it called? Always.
Any of those,
Yeah.
it's starting to be reborn over there on St. Claude,
But yeah, there's like a few places.
Siberia is the place that's my place, and
Yeah.
the Circle Bar is my place. And Luke owns the fucking Circle Bar.
Right.
I mean, Siberia.
Siberia, right.
And so that just makes it that much better.
There was a big CD release show for him, and
And he was kind of fucked up on tequila, and that just made it even better. Yeah. Jeff had a good time. I had a good time. Helen Gillette was playing with them. Alex McMurray, my homie Casey McAllister, was playing with them. And they're a tight little crew over there, and it's good to see. There wasn't a lot of people there, unfortunately, but that's fine.
yeah,
I mean, I definitely want the band to make a lot of money, but I also really generally when there's more people there, that douchebag's going to show up and they're going to jump around and they're going to stand in front of you or they're going to talk too loud. So it was nice for me. I'm sorry that the band didn't make a lot of money. I've bought 3 CDs already, so
It was kind of an intimate setting in that sense.
it was.
But
it was.
you would have, I'm like you. I kind of would have thought that there would have been more people there to see that.
He's in their defense, they have had like 4 or 5 of those CD release party type events.
Yeah.
And this one was called the official CD release party. So,
but it's not like this isn't like a group of musicians that people don't know. I mean, this is like
everybody had probably already seen them several times already.
Yeah, that's probably.
And they're dedicated fans.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Luke is a fucking brilliant songwriter, but he's also a very, what's the word I'm looking for? He really speaks to you. It's not all about his view of things. Right. It's about our view of things. He's not one of those pretentious singer-songwriters where it's all about them.
No, there's nothing pretentious about it. Although I would say that the songs on this record are kind of personal sounding. I mean, there's a lot of They
are, but they sound like some. Maybe I feel this way because I'm sort of a kindred spirit with the motherfucker, but none of it sounds like anything that I wouldn't think or experience.
But also,
some of those singer-songwriters, it's just like, fuck off. What are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing like
Julie.
Yeah, there's nothing self-important about it. There's a little sense of humor to it.
Yeah, it's more
it's something
deprecating than not.
Yeah.
So, and I introduced Jeff to that, and since he doesn't get out of his neighborhood much, it was like a trip to fucking Disney World for him.
I had a freaking great time.
He came to the Bywater and shit, or the Maroney, I guess it is. So that's so. Buy the new album. I don't know where. Buy all the albums. They're all good.
It's called Pothole Heart.
Pothole Heart. No, it's not online. You can only kind of get it at that bar.
Really?
It's hard to get.
That's surprising that they wouldn't be like on Bandcamp or something.
You might even
No, that's how legit they are.
They're super legit.
Maybe they're on Bandcamp. I don't fucking know.
So
I guess go to Siberia and buy it.
Louisiana Music Factory, maybe Peaches has it, something like that.
Louisiana Music Factory does not fucking have it. I went there to get it, and they do not have it, or they didn't when I went there to get it.
Well, maybe they'll have it.
Maybe Euclid has it. Anyways, he was on the cover of Anti-Gravity. It was a pretty decent little interview. That's the official Lance Vargas motherfucking band of New Orleans.
Awesome.
If I had one band to take with me to the desert island when we all got on the Mercury Lexapro spaceship and left the planet, that's the one I would take, which is kind of convenient. I also went to Pensacola for Memorial Day weekend.
That's right.
Every time I go there, I got a 70. I was on the threshold of I was on the absolute limit of my ability to stay there, which is 72 hours, and I stayed there for 72 hours. My buddy is the chief of police now, a guy I grew up with, which is crazy because I don't want to get too into it, but I got in a little trouble when I was a kid, and they were my arresting agency, and now some art of mine hangs in their headquarters, and my buddy is the chief. He's a really good guy. I believe he will do a very good job. He's always been very level-headed and fair and nice and kind and never said a single thing that I went, that's fucked up. After the ceremony, since it was Memorial Day weekend, it's a huge gay and lesbian weekend in Pensacola. Went to a drag show, hung out up there. I was the hype man for the drag queens because I just so happened to be right by their dressing room.
Nice.
Walked out with them. My homegirl Tisha and I were up there chanting them out. Then we took an Uber home and they had a disco ball.
Wow.
Yeah.
In the Uber.
In the Uber with lights flashing everywhere. And it was a long ride too. It's like 40.
Something you can request that via
I fucking hope so because I would request him again.
All right. How did they match you up with that? I think Big Data knows.
Big Data might have known.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
We went to the beach the next day and listened to Jimmy Buffett radio. I know.
Yikes.
That's fucked up and stupid. They didn't play a lot of Jimmy Buffett, so that was cool.
Well, good. Of course.
They played Saturday in the park.
Sure, they did that.
And heard it in a love song. Shit like that.
Yeah.
Whitest beaches in the world in Pensacola. You should go there sometime.
Ways in one, apparently.
And then the next day we packed up and came home.
Well, that's great. So that's your so-so.
No, we're not calling it so-so. It's not an official.
Because there's no
episode.
so-so because we're not
yet.
doing the format this week because
We're doing everything outside of format.
You know what I'd like to do instead of like I would like to read the Jive Wire despite the fact that we're not doing the Jive Wire.
Just read the new ones you got.
Yeah, well, I'm going to read the one that we got.
Okay.
Because instead of reading the Jive Wire where the music plays and we do the thing and everything.
If there was one, this is what it would be.
Well, because we got one. We got a submission from Ira Ray. So we're just going to read that one.
Is it one about Words with Friends?
Nope, it's not.
All right, because he's fucking with me online about Words with Friends. I'm sorry, I'm not playing. I was in Pensacola.
Okay, that's why. I'm sorry, Ira. Anyway, so this is your Hunker Downcast Jive Wire, your fake music calendar for no night in particular. Some other shit about the Jive Wire I don't even know because the music's not playing and we're not doing the thing. Anyway, the shows that begin at, I don't know what time, 10 are the PGT Bro Regard at the Underwater Ruins of Blue Nile. And that's the show. That's it.
One show tonight.
Ira Ray, right. So
must be a hurricane
that's the entire
coming.
Jive Wire this evening. To get your gig in the Jive Wire, tweet us at Hunker Downcast, email us at hunkerdowncast@gmail and so forth and so on, and get out there and support.
Y'all know what you got to do. Get out there, support.
And enjoy
some live local music.
Right. That's it. That's the entire calendar. That's the whole Jive
Just
Wire.
one show tonight.
One show.
Well, you know what I've noticed that the real Live Wire does?
What's that?
Is that even if the Live Wire is playing at 9, they will tell you the shows that you've just you missed 4 hours ago.
Oh, really?
They're like, the shows coming on at 5 are, Clarence Frogman, and like, you're fucking just telling me about some shit that happened in the past. There's no editing here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
like we're living in the fourth dimension or something.
I mean, I know, like, when you start a live show at that, like, is this live show on radio or a venue?
Oh, no, that's a fake show.
That's the fake show.
Doesn't even, I mean, it exists within the 11 dimensions.
Right.
But in the 4 that we live in, it doesn't exist.
I mean, there is
I did a bad job
of
of reading that,
right?
which I always do, by the way, when we read the Jive Wire. I always fuck it up. This band was called PGT Bro Regard.
Let me see it. Look at handsome Jimmy Vallon, the biggie wiggy.
And the name of the venue was the Underwater Ruins of Blue Nile. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean,
So
it's just
not a
Ira.
real place.
No.
Nothing on the Jive Wire is.
It sounds so real.
Yeah.
The shows that start at 10 include the PGT Beauregard performs at the Underwater Ruins of Blue Nile at 9.
Right.
Hashtag Jive Wire. Thanks, benefactor Ira Ray. You would be their hype man, I bet.
I would be their hype man. I'd be there just kicking it, just like freaking dancing my heart out. Oh, man, I wonder what kind of music.
Would you put up with some sexual harassment from them?
It depends on how good they are.
There's a level, I guess.
Yeah.
So anyway, because that's everything that we had basically. Do we have anything else that we want to do in the show? Because we've got like over 2 hours of content already.
No, we're good. What time it is?
It is 12:09.
Fuck, we're done. We got to go.
All right. Anyway, Lexi, thank you so much for doing this
Thanks
with us.
for
I'm
having
glad you
me.
wandered in here to talk to us this evening.
Same.
Is that how you got in here? You wandered in? Like,
did.
oh.
Come in, I was just
Sauntering,
like, oh, hey.
wandering, moseying,
Yeah,
all those
moseying.
things. Yeah.
I liked it. I was like, oh, hey, there's that shop with the Hunter S. Thompson stuff.
That is.
Yeah. So, anyway, you got anything else to add, Lance?
No, Jeff.
All right. So I'm going to turn the button off, and then we're just going to get out of here, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.